Alright, you guys, as you can see by the thumbnail, I'm back with another one like the other one. So check it out, you guys. This one's gonna be a short one. I've been working on that Baby Joker Demon video that I told you guys about, and I'll get that video out to you guys as soon as I'm done with it. But yesterday, a viewer reached out to me about something that just recently happened, and that's the purpose for me dropping this video. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was a little skeptical about putting this out there, and I still am, based on the fact that I haven't seen anything on YouTube about this. And usually other content creators are fast to drop info when it comes out, especially information about something that they consider to be exclusive, even if that means rolling out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and jumping on their computer. And here's the thing, supposedly this happened on Friday and today's Monday. So before I get into the details of this, let me be clear about something. Although I tend to believe my source and believe that this is good information, I'm just being careful because of what has happened in the past. I honestly don't think she would drop this on me, go look into it, confirm it, and then call me back and tell me that she's positive that it happened. But who knows? I've been burned before, and this is YouTube. I just put a video out and talked about all this. So again, I'm just being careful. So the thing I want to be clear about with you guys is that I haven't been able to confirm this with anyone else or from anywhere else for that matter. So with an air of caution, I'm telling you guys, after you watch this video, go look into it yourself and see if you can confirm it with somebody that you might know. And let me say it one more again for the fact checkers and the self-proclaimed YouTube popos that I'm not putting my stamp on this because I haven't been able to confirm it one way or the other. For the viewers, just take this as if there's a strong possibility that this might have happened based on the fact that this is the word on the curve and this is what people are saying out there in the streets. So yesterday I got a DM from a viewer that said she had some information about something that she wanted to share with me, but that she didn't want to text about it, she didn't want to put it in an email, and she'd rather talk about it over the phone. You know, I figured that it might have been about another indictment that hadn't hit the airwaves yet or something along those lines. But obviously it led to me sending her my number, and then we ended up having a conversation about it. So she basically tells me that according to everything that she had been hearing, that Mexican Mafia member Ronald Baisa, Turtle from Ontario Black Angels, apparently just passed away at his home this past Friday. And this is someone who she claimed was a personal friend, someone she grew up with and had known all her life. So when I heard this, the first question that I asked her is, has this been confirmed? Because again, like I just said in the last video that I dropped about Florencia, because of what has happened in the past when I've gotten information that has proven to be untrue, I'm just not real cautious about putting information out there that I haven't been able to confirm. And her answer was, I'm on my way to go find out exactly what happened right now. Once I find out all the details for sure, I'll text you back and I'll let you know. So that was yesterday, sometime around 9 or 10 in the morning. Then later on in the afternoon, I want to say around 2 o'clock, I get a one-word text message from her that basically says confirmed. And even at that point, I was still skeptical about dropping something on it. But I figured, you know what? I'm just going to put it out there and let the viewers know this is what I've been hearing. And I'll leave it up to you guys whether or not you choose to believe it. Those of you who care to know can look into it yourselves, and I'm sure you guys know people that can confirm it one way or the other. But anyways, I tell her to call me back, and when I get her on the phone, I ask her, why she felt confident she was able to confirm it. I wanted to know what she was basing this on. For all I knew at that point, she might have been relying on rumors or word of mouth through somebody else that she didn't even know. So I wanted to get her on the phone and ask her these questions myself. I don't want to get too descriptive about her personal information, but just trust me, based on what she told me and based on the firsthand information that she was able to get, I came away from that conversation feeling pretty confident that it was solid. But again, the thing that stood out to me and still does is that I haven't heard nothing about it on YouTube. And that's what's bugging me about it the most, because you guys know how YouTube is. Some of these cats actually believe that YouTube's gonna send them a Journalist of the Year award if they're the first ones to drop exclusive news. But I don't know, either information is coming in slow or people feel that this isn't worthy enough to be considered to be groundbreaking exclusive news. So anyways, apparently Turtle passed away this past Friday at his home in Southern California from what's believed to be a massive heart attack, which shouldn't really come as a big surprise to anyone based on the fact that this guy's already 68 years old. And for all you sticklers that are always looking for the details, don't quote me on this, but I believe his birthday was May 21st, 1957. So for those of you who've been following my channel for a while, then you guys know that Turtle's someone who wasn't a stranger to my channel either. I put out several stories about him before in the past, and he was someone who was known to have a lot lot of influence, not just within his neighborhood, the Ontario Black Angels, but also within the Mexican Mafia as well. I think one of the last stories that I put out that he was mentioned in was a story titled Hard Candy on Sight, and the subtitle was Sporty from Eastside Longo becomes one of the M's most prolific hitters. So believe it or not, I met a lot of Mexican Mafia members during the time when I was in the shoe in Pelican Bay. In fact, I know a lot of them that I talk about in my stories. Not too many YouTubers can say that. But despite running into a lot of these guys, either being housed with them in one of the pods or seeing them at the law library or medical or dental, Turtle's actually one of the few that I've never met or have ever been around. But I have heard a lot about him. Being that he was a longtime member who was considered to be part of a small circle at the top of their chain, who had a lot of influence, I used to hear his name come up frequently before in the past, just in the course of basic business. The same way that I'm sure Mexican Mafia members made it a habit of collecting and gathering information about the NF and its members, we used to do the same when it came to them. Things like where they were housed, who they were housed with, who their leadership was, who was part of their leadership, who had influence, what kind of lines were they pushing, who was pushing for peace, who was pushing for war, or some of the things about their personal history, things we'd hear over the course of time, or things that became part of our indoctrination process. It's information, and in that regard, it's valuable when you understand it under that concept. So the other thing that's going to be interesting about Turtle's untimely demise is the huge power vacuum effect that his passing is undoubtedly going to create. And this happens anytime you have someone like this who passes away, who's overseeing a vast area with a lot of influence like he was. It happened in Orange County when Sana passed away. And you've seen some of the same type of political jostling and political maneuvering take place when Turi from Cucas found himself in hot water. I talked about this in a video titled La Clica, the division of vast territory. When he found himself in hot water, all the areas that he was overseeing, the areas that belonged to Turi, they all basically became to be up for grabs. And then you had all these other members that were trying to get a slice of that pie for themselves. This isn't nothing new. Anytime something like this happens where somebody passes, somebody gets unseated, or somebody's in hot water, this always ends up happening. And for the record, let me just say this and make it clear that Turi was one of a lucky few who was allowed to clear things up before he was brought back into the fold. So even though he was in hot water at one time, he's now fully active again. You know, another video that's a good example of this, people scrambling to get what you got when you fall, is a video that's titled San Bernardino Transition of Power. And that video basically talks about the aftermath of what happened to Güero Verde from Verdugo and his wife, Carmen Rodriguez. You know, San Bernardino County has always been a hugely contested for area within the territories that the Mexican Mafia considers to be in control of. And this story right here exhibits one of the ugliest political tug of wars over territory and a power vacuum effect that I've told. So if you guys haven't seen that one either, you're definitely going to want to go back and check this one out too. It's a cool story that talks about crossing some lines that hasn't really been talked about so openly before in the past. And I'm not just talking about internal politics either. I'm talking about lines that pertain to civilians, outsiders, and family members. But anyways, getting back to Turtle and this power vacuum effect that I alluded to, let me clarify this so that you guys understand and know exactly what I'm referring to. So Turtle's been out of prison for a good minute now. I'm not sure exactly how long, but I believe it's in the neighborhood of somewhere close to 5 or 6 years. And during that time, he's maintained a tight grip over Ontario and some of the surrounding areas. People have said in the past that he's been able to control a well-oiled, well-established machine, meaning that he's basically been able to keep things in order. But now that he's gone, people are going to start testing the waters to see how far they can go and what they can get away with. It's just part of a regular cycle that always happens. It doesn't matter where you're at, Northern California, Southern California, or who's involved. When leaders fall, get weeded out, or meet their demise, people are going to start coming out of the woodwork and they're going to start pushing lines, whatever lines they can. And this neighborhood, Ontario Black Angels, has a lot of history with the Mexican Mafia. It's gone on to produce several individuals that would later become full-blown members of the Mexican Mafia. Just a few individuals that I can think of off the top of my head are Ruben Tupi Hernandez, Daryl Dash and D Castrohome, Juan Nito Gil, Armando Mondo Barajas, and Kenny Vega. You know, I was actually in a pod with Tupi in Pelican Bay. and I can definitely tell you guys, that dude was a character. You know, eventually he lost his mind and started walking around in his cell naked, believing that there was a microphone that was placed in his vent for the sole purpose of recording all his conversations. You know, I honestly believe that he just allowed that cell and that environment to break him mentally. And that's the thing about Pelican Bay. If you allow that environment to get to you, if you allow it to break you down mentally like that, your cell will get smaller and the pictures on your wall will even start talking to you, if you believe it. That's why when I was up there doing time, I try to always do things to keep my mind occupied. I try to stay away from idle time. That's what makes you think too much, and that's what breaks you. But anyways, later on, after Thupi made the mistake of disrespecting fellow Mexican Mafia member Raymond Champ Mendez, he was moved on in a court holding tank at the LA County Jail. The 3 Mexican Mafia members that took the assignment were Daniel, Black Dan Barella, Jesse, Pelon Moreno, and Champ, the one he disrespected. But even if Thupi didn't disrespect Champ the way that he did, he was already on borrowed time and on his way out. Because again, it became obvious to everyone that he was losing his mind and that he was falling off the deep end. Anyways, we'll see how everything plays out on the streets now that Turtle's supposedly gone. You know, I doubt I'll put another video out talking about all this unless a full-blown story comes out about his passing. But this just sounds like he went on to live out his entire life and he eventually just reached his expiration date. It's a part of life and we all have one sooner or later. You know, if I hear about any other details that are worthy of passing on to you guys, I'll mention it in passing in other upcoming videos. But other than that, this is pretty much my say on this situation right here. You know, in closing, I appreciate some of the comments that I got from some of you guys with regards to the last posting that I put up on my community page. I know where a lot of you guys stand as far as being here for the long haul and for just supporting the channel. So again, I appreciate you guys. And now that I'm done with that other job, I worked my last day last week on Tuesday. I'm going to get back to doing what I've been doing, investing myself in this channel and putting out content. In the meantime, I'm going to get back to the Baby Joker Demon video that I've been telling you guys about. So be looking for that to drop sometime soon. It's going to be a banger with exclusive pictures and details that have never been talked about before. So you're not going to want to miss this one. I've also got more wiretaps for those of you that like listening to the phone calls. And last but definitely not least, I'm also working on more episodes of Inner Demons and War Stories for you diehards. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this short episode of Paradigm Profiles. If you guys like this episode, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this episode, give it a thumbs down. But either way, drop a comment and let me know what you think. And something else that I'm going to start reminding you guys about, because it is extremely important to the algorithm, is to not only hit the like, drop a comment, and share the video, but to also hit the all on the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I drop any content on the channel. There's been a lot of you who've been encouraging me to bring the channel up and increase my numbers, so I'll do my part. But from your guys' end, hitting the likes and engaging with the channel by dropping a comment or asking questions will help me increase my place in the algorithm. So let this be a collaborative effort. So with that being said, as always, I just want to thank you guys for continuing to show your unwavering support and for also continuing to tap into the channel. In the meantime, you guys enjoy the rest of your day and keep pushing that positivity. Until the next one, this is your boy B, and I'm gone.